Yes, Sir Hairless here. Today we have a combination of artists we've seen before in this video. That was Wayfaring Stranger, and the artists are Adam Chance, currently part of Home Free, and the Hound and the Fox. Today's song was a Patreon monthly members poll winner. If you want to take part in these polls in the future, you can do so just by being a member of my Patreon, completely free, link below if you're interested. Now this video is sort of a follow-up from that Wayfaring Stranger. At the end of that one, they turned around ready to start this one. This time, they'll be singing The Sound of Silence, very famous song by Simon and Garfunkel. We've seen several other cover versions on this channel, the most famous one probably being Disturbed, but also Pentatonix's cover, they're an a cappella group, and Peter Hollins with Tim Faust, also a cappella, and Tim is part of Home Free with Adam Chance. So there's somewhat of a circular connection here. Anyway, enough chit chat, let's get straight into this one.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, beneath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my car to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence.
Yeah, very similar in style to Wayfaring Stranger, with the noises in the background that do actually serve a harmonic purpose as well. I love their choice of who is going to be singing with whom. It's not always three-part. Adam and the Fox, who is Mackenzie the lady, or Adam and the Hound, Riley the guy, or all three. Yeah, really nice. And the song, The Sound of Silence, it's a great song to harmonize to. Very calm, very melodic. Let's do our first pause here. Copyright reasons, go over some of what we've heard so far. If you don't want to hear my thoughts or analysis, go to the timestamp. First things first, let's go over the key. The first guitar note, the bottom of the guitar, bottom string. Dum. This F sharp. The original song, we can see how much higher up it is on the guitar using the upper strings straight away. That's here. Let's move it down the octave. And to move this cover up the octave, the difference in key is only 3 notes, but of course this one's much lower, so the difference is much bigger.
Hello.
We can see this by the entry, hello, compared to hello, way down there, and that's Adam Chance's deep, deep voice being put to use here. Yeah, it works really well. We've seen how these three work together really well in Wayfaring Stranger. Their voices are perfectly in the right range to spread the 3-part harmony quite wide apart if they want to. Mackenzie at the top, Chance at the bottom, Riley in the middle, but they can also sing close together for some real tight sounds. I'll be looking out for that in this song. I'm sure there could be some moments where that would work really well, but we can hear straight away.
Darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk with you again.
Everyone is singing in their lower register, but it's all relative because Chance is so low, it still sounds quite spread out. Another interesting thing about the key, as we saw earlier, it's in F sharp minor. I said in the introduction, at the end of Wayfaring Stranger, they turn around with a nice funky version of a C sharp minor chord. C sharp is not the same as F sharp. So what happens? We have this ambient noise. Not really a pitch. Now music's coming in. And it just modulated there. So it very subtly moved to F sharp minor, leading us into the start of this song. It's a very natural transition. I think that's a really interesting way to do it. I think in my Wayfaring Stranger video, I did speak about that at the end without obviously knowing that this was the reason for that key change. As for the accompaniment in this song, so the guitar playing, the original,
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
there are two main ideas. One is the consistent rhythm, cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, constant finger plucking. The other one is the constant note that it keeps returning to, ba, ba, ba. And then you have the moving idea on the offbeats, bum, 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 bum. In this cover, they have definitely kept the constantness. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. There's always something being plucked. Two guitars though, that's quite a lot of fingers that you have at your disposal. In terms of the other ideas, they have changed the arrangement up a little bit. We get a mix of everything. It's constantly changing. I won't go into everything because we'd be here all day. The repeated note at the top though now has really been shifted to the bottom, which is very in line with the whole arrangement. As we saw, they're all singing quite low down. Why not shift the guitar part down to the depths too?
I've come to talk with you.
Not too much in the way of background ambient noise just yet. If we move forward a little bit,
Dreams I walked alone.
alongside the beat,
Narrow streets of cobblestone.
chum, chum, but the ambient noise in the background is the real interesting element.
Beneath the halo of a street lamp.
Overall, it fits, it works, but because there's so much reverb, there's always going to be some notes that are delayed. So when the chord changes, notes from the old chord are still lingering, almost like a ghost or a spirit or something. Quite mystical is the word that comes to mind, or spiritual. You choose your own word, but hopefully you can hear that in the background. And the result is some dissonance. Dissonance causes tension. This is quite a pure song, the original anyway.
Narrow streets of cobblestone.
Sure, it livens up a bit, we have the beat coming in, but there's no dissonance, the harmony is fairly standard. So having these background noises,
Street lamp. I turn my car to the cold and damp.
it's really interesting. It's like a very static, but also constantly moving and adapting presence in the background. We heard a similar thing in Wayfaring Stranger.
I wanna see.
A bit more difficult to hear though. And just before we carry on, I want to point out how important the harmony parts are. The wonderful thing about harmony and being able to sing in harmony with other people is that there are quite literally infinite possibilities. Even with just two people, if you sing one song and you can share the melody between you, the different permutations of harmony would almost be limitless, I'm sure, if someone did the maths on it. With three, it becomes exponentially more. I'll try not to bore you, so I'll try and keep it fairly short. Let's take this phrase.
When my eyes were stabbed.
Chance has the melody here. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light. In the original song, the harmony would be eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light.
When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon.
The Hound does not go do 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 do. He goes do 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 do.
Eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light.
So the harmony is mostly the same, but he has changed it a little bit. Overall though, it's the same. What about the rest of the phrase?
That split the night.
So typically, split the night. That chord there on night would be here. These are our three notes in F sharp minor. What do we get here though? The Hound is singing, Chance is singing. So the harmonic implication is no longer F sharp minor. It's changed to this. What do we hear in the bass though? We have an A. I'll play it up the octave so we can see easier. Is that an A major 7 chord or a C sharp minor chord with an A in it? I don't know, but it's certainly not F sharp minor, even though these two notes here are still in our new chord. But the root note, the most important note that the chord is named after, F sharp, is not. I didn't want to go too in-depth there. I hope that made some sense. In short though, the little decisions they make in the harmony parts can restructure the harmony that we hear, change the chords that we hear, the order in which the chords come, that kind of thing. Very subtle as well, but they certainly make a difference. And that might be why you might find this cover version a little bit more eerie than the original song. It could be down simply to the harmony changes. All right, let's carry on.
naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never shared, and no one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fool said I, you do not know, silence like a cancer grows.
That ambient noise, I'll call it, the constant eerie sounds in the background, make such interesting harmonies, really quite peculiar. I think if they were any louder, it would be perhaps a bit too overbearing for me, but at this level, I think is really good. It creates a mystical, I'm going to use that word again, a very mystical feel. Just a very quick copyright pause. We will carry on until the end. I think there's about 1 minute left. I'd also just like to point out, because I received a fair few comments in the video on Wayfaring Stranger from people saying, no, you can't be hearing these other things because all we see is 2 guitars and the tambourine and the 3 singers. Therefore, this is live and that's all we get. And I find them a little bit strange because to me, this is so obviously a studio recording. You know, they're in here for the video. I understand the thought process that the reverb sounds we're hearing is because they're in a little tunnel type thing. But I've noticed that, especially with the a cappella groups as well, I do receive a lot of comments from people who seem to refuse to accept that music that we have on YouTube is produced in a studio. And I don't know why, because at the end of the day, for the best quality sound, things have to be touched up and produced in the studio. So if anyone is still of the mindset that all we're hearing is what we're seeing, there was another instrument that came in, a nice airy sound, a woodwind instrument, kind of like a flute. I'm not sure exactly what it is. In this line I'm about to play, the fox sings 10,000 people, maybe more. Listen when she says people, there'll be this sound like a windpipe.
10,000 people, maybe more.
I think that's a really nice addition. The choice of the instrument, it's not something you hear often, but it's very subtle. It doesn't hang around for too long. It's a nice little addition. Definitely something I wasn't expecting. Anyway, let's carry on for the last minute or so until the end. If you enjoy these videos or find them helpful, please consider supporting me. Patreon has a bunch of exclusive benefits, behind the scenes videos, additional reaction content, Q&A videos, and more. For a one-time donation, you can donate me a hot chocolate at the Buy Me a Coffee link, or become a YouTube member for these groovy emojis and membership badges. And a huge thank you to these lovely people on the screen now.
Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was for me. Then the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whispered in the sound of silence.
You know what they've done here at the end? They've done the reverse key change we spoke about before at the end of Wayfaring Stranger. Now, we've gone to C sharp minor. And where does Wayfaring Stranger start? C sharp minor. So, Wayfaring Stranger and The Sound of Silence, you could, in theory, get caught in an infinite loop. Finish one, it changes to the key of the other one, they turn around, hear that song, they turn around, and it keeps going. Very clever. Yeah, that was a nice one. Calm, to be expected. and a lot of unexpected things in there. As I've mentioned many times, the constant background ambient noise was just creating really interesting harmonies. Subtle but interesting nonetheless. I won't touch on them too much more. And I think the Fox's voice, the folky elements to it, really added something.
Voices never shared.
The very subtle ornaments, ever so slight embellishments. At the end as well, her vibrato was just really standing out.
In tenement halls.
Do you know what it sounds like? It sounds like one of those windpipe instruments that I was talking about earlier. Like a flutter. I apologize for what you're about to witness. That's the only way I can think of as describing it. I'm so sorry.
In the sound.
Compared to the two guys here who were singing with straight tone at this moment. At this moment, there's clearly a certain sentiment of the sound, right? There's a style of the music at this moment. Every person has to be contributing in the same way. And in such cases, if you still want some contrast, it can be through something as simple as vibrato versus straight tone. As for the Hound, a really nice demonstration of his higher chest voice here.
Take my arms that I might reach you.
And I was wondering how he would continue the phrase. Would he go up in his chest voice?
My words like silent raindrops.
And you start to get a bit of grit to the sound there. Slightly veering away from the world of pure singing and more towards, well, let's whip up the disturbed version as an example.
Like silent raindrops.
That's a very cool cover, if you're not aware of it, by the way. I have done a video on that one, so please feel free to check that out.
Like silent raindrops fell.
But then back to pure. And I love the layering at this point of entries. In the original, in the melody, the word sung, there's a silence in between. Not here, though. So I believe I was saying, in the original song, we get a gap between the melody.
Like silent raindrops fell.
Here, it's instrumental. Still instrumental.
Echo.
Not in this cover version, though.
Silent raindrops fell and echoed in the world, and echoed in the world.
How fitting for the word and echo, too. Then this bit. That was surprising.
And the people bowed and prayed.
And now here is all about the close harmony. The guitars no longer have that consistent cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha finger-plucking style rhythms.
To the neon god they made.
And the harmonies are very tight, very interesting choices. These chords are mostly non-standard, or at least there are far more non-standard chords now.
And the sign flashed out its warning.
The clashes that we get mid-phrase are lovely.
In the words that it was for me.
Very Imogen Heap-esque.
We're playing.
And they change the harmony too, such as the end of that phrase.
In the words that it was for me.
That's a different chord to in the original song, so the harmonic progression, the chords in what order they come is different. Chance's line here for the next phrase is very interesting. Very constant, and then he moves up, but then comes down.
Then the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway wall.
And then for the end,
In the sound of silence.
a big dissonance on the sigh of silence before finishing on unison. And then they turn around and then we go back to Wayfaring Stranger and repeat the cycle. I don't think I have anything more to say on this one. Very nice, very calm. I think those three work really well together. Very nice arrangement, interesting arrangement as well, especially with some of the harmonic choices or the other instruments we're hearing, for example. Very cool setting, but I mentioned all of that in my other video to Wayfaring Stranger. So if you haven't, please check that one out. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Would appreciate a like or a comment, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you next time.